And now I am going to interview Joshua Blackwelder, who plays Timmy the Skateboarder. Tell me, Joshua, about playing the part of Timmy. Tell me about that.
Well, it wasn't very hard to get into character when I was young. I was a skateboarder myself. I do a lot of thinking back of when I was 14. I even had some accidents on my skateboard then, a brain injury, fell off my skateboard and got knocked into a coma for 4 days. So it really wasn't hard for me to get into character. As far as the fact that he was a skateboarder and everything, it was all very, very easy for me. I still skateboard, I still play guitar, and so being that person was just like, I don't know how to explain it. It was awesome. Back in Murgatroyd, feeling all alone, save the world from destruction. Now I'm all alone, this is not my home. Murgatroyd, Murgatroyd is never found. So large, I never felt so small. Back in Murgatroyd. Back in Murgatroyd, I never felt so alone. This is not my home. Here I am, I've come to save the world from mass destruction.
Recorded live.
Welcome back. This is Rich Vernadeau, creator, producer, director, writer of Crazy Insane Radio, the series. And this is my director commentary on the first season episodes. And now I'm going to be talking about episodes 5 through 9. One of the things I want to point out is that all of season 1 is setting the stage for the introduction of characters, for the introduction of plot lines. Scenery, setting, and locale are all being established in the early episodes of Season 1. Beginning in Episode 5, there's the second Drifties ad. That's the second appearance of the Drifties ad. Apron Head's suicide note comes up. There's another Slidette 2 ad. This is the first appearance of Slidette 2, by the way. There's another Triple Flex Theater ad, and this includes Exile Sex Slaves from Planet Sigma 5. That will come up in a future episode at greater length when I do a trailer of it. Then, once again, we have the country ad music. 2 songs appear. They're mentioned in the ad, Just Over Broke and My Stepson Wears a Stetson. Both of those songs will occur later on in future episodes. And then, of course, toward the end of episode 5, Nosferatu. That will also appear in a future episode. Note that Vincini product ads push sex appeal and sexuality, whereas the Drifty ads push large portions of food. Now, moving into episode 6, Hugh Millitson, CRZY News. Hugh Millitson's back, shooting of Senator Quint. This could be considered the third major event in Murgatroyd. And, of course, once again, the CRZY weather jingle reappears. Moving into episode 7, Shimiko Hiramoto, the survivor of the Murgatroyd serial killer, appears again. Mention is made of an older model Chevy. Talk is made about a movie to be made about Apronhead. Vincini stock is up. That will happen quite a bit. It will go up and down throughout the series in response to different events that occur. And again, here at the end, we have the Paper Doll Factory reopening with Fudiki Hiramoto as the new owner and CEO. Episode 8 deals with Senator Quint's funeral. And once again, the random telephone call sample reoccurs. Episode 9, Hugh Millitson, Man in the Street interview. This is, by the way, the first appearance of Uncle Frank. Mention is made of Suki as his wife. Here in episode 9, we also see Slidette 2 Cologne. This is the second Slidette ad, the second Vincini ad. And then the third Drifties ad appears. Drifties is back. And once again, I want to mention that my approach was to set the stage first and then introduce the characters. Whereas new places, new settings are introduced in each subsequent season, the main core fixtures of the city of Murgatroyd are established in season 1. And that is my commentary on episodes 5 through 9 of Crazy Insane Radio. And this has been Rich Vernadeau. This is Rich Vernadeau, the creator, producer, writer, director of Crazy Insane Radio, the series. And I'm doing a director's commentary here on the first season, the first 4 episodes. I'm going to start out with episode 1. It opens with the Murgatroyd City population sign, and we see that Murgatroyd City is about 180,000. Then there's this nice aerial shot of the Murgatroyd Freeway. Then I show the downtown area of Murgatroyd. There's a scene where the sign of Dead Center Park is shown, a big billboard of Hugh Millitson is shown, a billboard of the Vincini Cosmetic Company is shown. So all of those things are referenced, introduced in terms of those are elements of the city. Then, starting at minute 1:29, the voices of the crazy ladies, and these are these turn out to be former patients of a couple of different psychiatrists, but later on in future episodes, the voices will come up again. And these are obviously mentally disturbed women who are talking about what's bothering them and some of their issues and some of the things that have been going on with them. And that, of course, I have captioning. I have letters on the screen where you can understand what's being said, where you can understand the voice. It's right there on the screen. Then moving into episode 2, many recurring themes are introduced, and these are recurring themes that will reoccur in various episodes and various seasons of Crazy Insane Radio, the series. At 35 seconds in, Triple Flex Theaters are first introduced with the first double feature, I Was a Teenage Cannibal and Diary of a Mad Drag Queen. That's the first appearance of the Triple Flex Theaters. Now, no preview is shown of those two movies, but they're shown their reference. It's a marquee. At 1 minute in, a recurring element is introduced, the random telephone call segment. And this will be a particularly wild telephone call, and every one of them will be, and these occur in different episodes too. At 1 minute 47 seconds in, the first appearance of Drifties, the first Drifties ad. Of course, Drifties is a local fast food place there in Murgatroyd. At 2 minutes in, the first trailer appears, the first preview of a motion picture that's playing at Triple Flex Theaters. In this case, it's Revenge of the Statue of the Buddha. Then at 2 minutes and 38 seconds in, Country Hits ad, first appearance of an ad for Country Hits. There'll be a lot of these ads that will occur later on too, and other kinds of ads too, mostly for Vincini products. At 3 minutes in, the first appearance of the famous KRZY weather jingle. Whether or not you believe in the weather or not, that's the first appearance of it. Then episode 3 is the first major event in Murgatroyd series, in history of the current Murgatroyd, and it is Apronhead's Last Stand. And I introduce a character here. This is the first appearance of Dr. Derrickson, who is Apronhead's psychiatrist. And the whole episode focuses on his assessment of Apronhead. It goes into the debacle, the horrible event where Apronhead burns down the paper doll factory, kills the factory owner, kills himself. And that episode deals with that first major event in Murgatroyd, the Apronhead's burning down of the paper doll factory. Then episode 4, we have the first recurring news bulletin. You have the first, and this will be a recurring feature, but this is the first time it appeared. This is also the first appearance of Hugh Millicent, his voice. And then we cut to the Senator Quint Senate hearings. This is the first appearance of both Senator Quint and Judy Vincini. Judy Vincini, of course, is a major central character who will reoccur throughout many different seasons of Crazy Insane Radio. And this is at 3 minutes in, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, it is the first appearance of Shimiko Hiramoto, the daughter of Fujiki Hiramoto, who takes over as CEO of the paper doll factory and the new owner. And Shimiko Hiramoto is the first, well, the only surviving victim of the Murgatroyd serial killer, and this here in episode 4 is also the first reference to the Murgatroyd serial killer. So that is my director's commentary on the first 4 episodes, and now we're going to move on in to the next subsequent episodes, and that'll be coming right up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the wildly talented Rich Vernadeau of Crazy Insane Radio, the series. All right, we're going to be interviewing him for just a short time to see what he has to say about his spinoff. So, I hear you have a spinoff series. How will it be different from Crazy Insane Radio?
Well, first of all, thank you for asking, and I'm glad that you enjoyed my original series, Crazy Insane Radio. This new series, which is called Murgatroyd After Dark, the Murgatroyd Chronicles, has a slower pace, greater focus, and greater attention to a different kind of detail in terms of more suspense. It's going to be more of creating a mood. And so basically I'm just kind of changing things up slightly in that regard. I'm going to do a slower, more in-depth approach, more of a character-driven approach on this one. You'll like it because it will be so different from the other one which of course I hope you like and continue to like the other one as well. As far as it being character-driven, that's what one of the main things about the new series is going to be, and one of the main ways in which it's going to differ from the other one. The first one, Crazy Insane Radio, is plot-driven and surprise event-driven. On this one, it's going to be more slow development of people.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Well, will many of our favorite and main characters from Crazy Insane Radio cross over at any point?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I will occasionally have crossovers of the main major characters from the original series briefly into this new series, but the episode will not necessarily center on them. Think of this as being done from the point of view of the average person who lives in Murgatroyd who happens to be outside and sees Flashy the paper doll walking down the sidewalk, or picks up their paper and reads about the serial killer, but then goes and fixes dinner, and life goes on for them.
I see. Is there anything else you'd like to add about Crazy Insane, or the new one that you're doing?
Oh, yes. One of the things is I'm going to be attempting to introduce a whole different set of characters, as I was talking about. And these characters are not part of the main action in the other series, although they see and hear and might be impacted by some of it. This will be more along the lines of, say, Imogene's secretary at the TV station, Mayor Paransky's chauffeur, the janitor who cleaned Les Tomac's office, the waitress who hands Senator Devane his steak. This series is going to focus on not the movers and shakers of Murgatroyd as the other one does, but the average citizen. But the setting, Murgatroyd, is the same. Some of the storylines will slightly intersect and interconnect. It's a challenge I've created for myself. Yes, I'm very excited. It is trying to show how the average citizens react to the madness of Murgatroyd, whether it's corrupt senators and mayors, walking, talking paper dolls, serial killers, whatever. You see, even the original is a lot deeper than it appears on the surface. Many of the episodes are veiled social commentary on current events. So in a sense, these everyday characters in the new series represent you and I dealing with what's going on in today's world.
Well, that is indeed different, but I can tell you right now that I'm excited, and I'm sure all of the followers right now are incredibly excited. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I would just like to wrap up this interview by saying that, yes, it should be fun. It allows me to branch out in new and different directions creatively. And I want to urge anyone who's already watching Crazy Insane Radio on my YouTube channel to go ahead and start watching this one. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Rich Vernadeau on YouTube, and you can look it up, Google it easily. Go inside YouTube and search for Crazy Insane Radio. Go inside YouTube and search for Murgatroyd After Dark, the Murgatroyd Chronicles.
Well, I love it already, and I know that all of your fans are going to love it, and I look forward to more and more and more of it. And, you know, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. You know, it was great to have you here, and I loved learning about the new series.
Well, I definitely appreciate being a guest, and thank you very much for interviewing me. For Leilana to come back. Why don't I talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I've got going on. As you know, there's something going on called Rich Vernadeau Productions, in which I've begun to do quite a few videos on YouTube. And in effect, and at some point I'll do a show about this in the future, in which I discuss all of it. I've basically created a universe. It is, in fact, a mini-series. It is episodic in nature, soap operatic in nature, with some similarities, perhaps, to things such as picket fences, northern exposure, Knots Landing, what have you. It's a make-believe town, make-believe city, with a neighboring make-believe town. All of the characters are, of course, imaginary, because this is a fictional world, you know, this universe that I've created. But it bears
Was that the one with the flashy paper dolls?
Yes, I see you've seen one of those episodes. Most recently, right, thank you, I'm glad you enjoyed that, Terry. Most recently, I put together, and these are available on both Vimeo and YouTube to be seen anytime, as well as on my Facebook groups. Rich Vernadeau Productions is one of them, and Crazy Insane Radio is another group that I have on Facebook where you can see these videos because I post them every day or two or three as I create them. And the latest ones that I did, I actually took episode 10, 11, and 12 and put them all together in one longer episode that's available both on Vimeo and YouTube, as well as on those two Facebook groups that I mentioned. And it's easy to find through Google. Crazy Insane Radio will definitely pull it up. If you should Rich Vernadeau out to the side, my name also, it'll pull up even more quickly. And I have a channel on YouTube, Rich Vernadeau channel, in which all of these episodes can be seen. And then I'm also there on Vimeo as well. And I would encourage anyone that enjoys being entertained and enjoys a fantasy world that's taking place in contemporary. It takes place in our own modern-day times. Though I don't assign an exact year. Well, I do in one episode. Toward, I think in episode 11 or episode 12, I mentioned 2012, and then I say this has been going on for 4 years. So I do, in fact, I do have it set in our own time period, 2016. I will later on be introducing more characters. There's numerous storylines that will be introduced over time. And there's even a show within the show, so to speak, because within the city of Murgatroyd, which is the fictional city in this universe where all of this is taking place, of course, they have movie theaters just like we do. And one of the productions that is showing at that local theater, I just did the trailer for it too, episode 13, which came out today and is available all over the place for anybody to watch. And it was called Exiled Sex Slaves of Planet Sigma 5. And I had a great deal of fun doing that trailer for that. And it may ultimately become a little production of its own. When I say show within a show, a lot of the things that are referenced and alluded to and mentioned within the context of Crazy Insane Radio, within the context of the city of Murgatroyd, a lot of these things will be a subline or a subplot, or they'll take on a life of their own. You know, just as way back in the day, as you will remember, the Mary Tyler Moore Show had the spinoff show Rhoda, and then the spinoff show Phyllis, you know, and then Lou Grant, her boss at the TV station, even went on to become a newspaper editor, had his own show, Lou Grant. Those were all spinoffs, MTM spinoffs of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. So in the same sense, I'm doing that within the context of my Crazy Insane Radio. So there will ultimately be a spinoff shows in which different characters within this are explored.
Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Hello, this is Rich Vernadeau, the producer and director of Crazy Insane Radio, the series, a Rich Vernadeau production. This is the director's commentary. This is going to be an informal chat. This is a bonus feature extra in which I will be commenting on the various episodes of Crazy Insane Radio. First of all, I want to welcome you to the universe in which Crazy Insane Radio takes place. Welcome to the city of Murgatroyd and its neighbor city, Flattown, populated by all sorts of interesting and strange people that you'll meet in this continuing series. In episode 2, I introduce the theater, where there's a chilling double feature going. I Was a Teenage Cannibal and Diary of a Mad Drag Queen. These are grade B movies, you know, something along the lines of maybe what Ed Wood would have done. And this will be a recurring theme throughout my episodes. It comes up later in that same episode 2, Revenge of the Statue of the Buddha, another grade B exploitation thriller. Another recurring feature that will pop up from time to time in various episodes of Crazy Insane Radio is the random telephone call sample. And these are actual telephone calls with different people in the past that in the universe of our wonderful Murgatroyd City. And this will be a recurring thing also. And usually these are very dynamic and exciting and heated discussions that are taking place in these random telephone call samples. Another recurring theme is the country and western hits. And again, these have outrageous, absurd titles, absurd, outrageous content, because in the Crazy Insane Radio world of Murgatroyd City, everything is slightly over the top. Another thing that's introduced in episode 2 is the CRZY weather with its slogan, "The Eyes Have It." And of course that famous CRZY weather jingle that you'll hear over and over again, it's a recurring theme that's introduced in episode 2. Then in episode 3, Apronhead's Last Stand, we introduce Dr. Derrickson and Dr. Flipsher, who both come on. Dr. Flipsher is a hillbilly psychiatrist from Flattown, and they both come on and they make their psychological observations of Apronhead. And he's the insane person who destroyed the paper doll factory by burning it down and then doused gasoline on himself and killed himself and the owner of the paper doll factory. But we also have another character that's introduced in episode 3, Japanese business magnate Fudiki Hiramoto, who has plans to reopen the paper doll factory. And then right about that time, one of the coolest effects that I have going in this episode 3, there's this little paper doll that goes flitting across the screen right after the Hiramoto character is introduced. Sawmill City is referenced, and Flattown is referenced too. Even the road sign going to Flattown is shown. Then in episode 4, we have a news bulletin, and it's Hugh Millitson. And, of course, he takes you to the Senator Quint hearings, the House Senate hearings into the Vincini Cosmetics. And in this episode, we meet Senator Quint, who is a figure who occurs again in a later episode. And we meet Judy Vincini, the CEO and owner of the Vincini Cosmetics, and she's also a main central character to Murgatroyd City, to the Crazy Insane Radio, and she's a recurring character. So this was my commentary for episodes 2, 3, and 4. Enjoy listening to Crazy Insane Radio. Enjoy watching the videos. They're all over my Facebook groups. They're also available on Vimeo and on YouTube. Eventually they'll be released on disc too. So, enjoy Crazy Insane Radio, a Rich Vernadeau production. Absolutely. There's something about holding an old book in your hand, absolutely.
How did you end up creating and releasing the Crazy Insane videos on YouTube and DVD? I've been keeping up with those, as you know.
Yes. And thank you. I appreciate you keeping up with them. That is a labor of love. It is a joy. I feel inspired to do them. They do allow me to explore many creative talents that I've got, both as a writer, a director, a producer, and the editing itself, the putting together of them. It is a direction that I do want to go in. I personally, of course I'm biased because I create it, but I personally think that the content is unique and interesting. I have several storylines going. Of course, I would like for, some big Hollywood producer or somebody to come along and notice it and make me an offer I can't refuse or whatever. But, nevertheless, if that never happens, I can be like these small independent filmmakers, and there's many of them all over the world who submit their films to film festivals such as Sundance, and there's other film festivals as well. And they may never achieve fortune with their work, but they do achieve critical respect from other directors and from other creative people who recognize what they're doing and understand the artistic level that they're achieving, and even the concepts and the ideas and the way in which they're exploring them. And if I never get anything other than that, if I never achieve anything other than fan reaction from my YouTube viewers and from the people who buy the DVD edition, which I have now released, I will be satisfied with that. Of course, it would be great if I can achieve eventually some type of commercial success with it, but if not, I'm not going to be disappointed. I will continue to make the episodes. I will continue to do it because it is a joy. Other than running and operating this bookstore, which I've done for the better part of 40 years now, there's nothing else that quite approaches the level of satisfaction that I received from doing that. I am engrossed and involved in it, and I'm in the same way whenever I've been writing a book, and I've written, a couple of 3 books. The one that's published, of course, is an e-book, is the one about eBay, but I've done a lot of fiction work, and in fact, the original script work that the Crazy Insane Radio is evolving out of is about a 300-page script that I began writing way back in 1992, and a lot of these characters are straight from that and are evolving and developing and going in all sorts of wonderful directions, and I'm really, really having a blast with it.
What are some of the storylines, and how many more seasons will it go?
I think, Terry, that I'm going to continue with it just ad infinitum as far as seasons go, because it does have an infinite number of potential storylines that can open up into the future, because they have so many characters going, and new characters get introduced in each season, of course. The main storyline so far, in season 1, I began, of course, there was a shooting of Senator Quint. One of the backstories had been the scandal involving the Vincini Cosmetics, in which the CEO, Judy Vincini, had been accused during a Senate hearing of having put a low-level acid in the face cream, and thousands of women's faces had been scarred, and there had been this huge class action lawsuit against Vincini based on the tainted face cream. And if you'll recall, in season 1, of course, Senator Quint is slain. He's killed. And that's one storyline. Of course, the assassin just got arrested a couple of weeks back in an episode in the late 2nd season. It's when they finally capture the assassin himself. There is, of course, the Murgatroyd serial killer storyline, and that's been going since very early in season 1, too. And the history of that within Murgatroyd, the fictional universe of Murgatroyd City, the serial killings have now been going on for 4 years. He remains unidentified, unapprehended. There's, rampant speculation as to who it could be, but nobody knows for sure. There have been 21 victims so far, and that is a key and main storyline right there. Another storyline, of course, that has evolved as a sort of a side an offshoot of that is the kidnapping of Dr. Hubert Slakowski, the televangelist minister and father of Murgatroyd Times news columnist Imogene Slakowski, who also is a sort of a commentator, anchorwoman, editorialist, also there at CRZY News as well. And she, of course, is a misogynist. She's a very different. Well, I should say she's a man-hater. She hates everybody, but she particularly hates men, and she has a lot of rants, and her column is very biased against men. And she started taunting the Murgatroyd serial killer, and of course now he's begun to target her through threats and so on and so forth. That's the storyline. Now, a key central storyline, of course, is Flashy the Paper Doll. She was introduced in episode 19, and she is, in fact, a living, breathing, walking life form, an artificially created life form created in a biotech lab from human DNA and from wood pulp. The origins as to who's behind that lab, I've kept that so far relatively secret, though I'm beginning to drop some hints, toward the end of the 3rd season. Of course, everybody wants to know where she comes from. There's another creature, the wood pulp boy, who was also created by that same lab. And the two of them are currently on the run because government agents and authorities are after them, in our present day. And there's this divided camps. There's the people who think she's just terrible and are against her, and then she's got her supporters, the skateboarders that have rallied for her support, and a young man running for the slain Senator Quint's son, Anderson Quint Jr., and he supports her her rights. You know, he believes she has human rights too because she has human DNA. And so I have characters reading for her, and then I've got characters that are completely against her, and so that's going on as well.
How did you come up with the idea of Flashy?
You're going to love that one. When I was a child, about 4 or 5, my mom used to get McCall magazine, and there were these little paper dolls, these little cutouts. And whenever my friends would come over, boys and girls both, we just loved going into the McCall's magazine. Somebody grabbed a pair of scissors and cut out the little doll and put the dolls on it. I watched this and saw this and was amused by it, you know, as a child. Of course, I like to cut everything out. I like advertisements. I like cartoons. You know, I collected everything. I collected the Dick Tracy comic strip as a kid for years and years and years. Used to keep notebooks of them. So I've always been fascinated by comic art and by artwork. And she sprung out of that. I also had a gigantic comic book collection as a kid as well. And so there's definitely the animated influence going there, I guess, all the way back from my childhood.
Yeah, that's really very interesting. Let's see. Can you describe some of the characters? I guess you already did describe a lot of the characters in your series.
Well, there may be more, and sure, I can go into any of them that you'd like. Sure.
Well, can you describe the creative process a little bit? How do you come up with all these different characters and scenarios? And
it's funny, and I think for different writers, because the idea begins in the mind, whether it was Ray Bradbury or Rod Serling with The Twilight Zone or Alfred Hitchcock directing, whatever. Robert Bloch, who wrote the original paperback for Psycho, you know, which became the film that Hitchcock directed. The movie The Birds was based on a short story by Daphne du Maurier, and she's known for a lot of romantic-type gothics. Everything starts as a creative idea in someone's head, usually as a story or a novel. You know, Margaret Mitchell spent a long time writing Gone with the Wind, never knowing that it would hit and become a success, never realizing it would become this huge, phenomenal movie, which it became. And that is so true of so many great works. Harper Lee, who did To Kill a Mockingbird, lived in a little town in Mississippi. He was friends with Truman Capote, who was from that same town, and also became a writer. And a lot of these creative ideas, I think some people are just naturally more creative, and I think that it is some of it comes in sparks. It might be from the subconscious mind. I lean very heavily toward that. I think that we get to thinking about something, or maybe we hear something in the news. That's what Stephen King said on CBS this morning the other day when Gayle King and Charlie Rose and some of the others were interviewing him. He said it can be anything. It can be something that I hear in the news. It can be a dream. It can be an event that happened in my childhood. But it will spark a short story or a novel in my mind, and I will use that event as the starting point or as the central point around which the story will develop or evolve. In fact, he talks about Cujo, which you may recall that movie and that book. Cujo is about this great big old fluffy, I can't think of the name of the dog, but you will in a minute. I'm sure one of us will. Those big fluffy dogs. And he went to some man's house out in the country one time to see about a car part or to see about getting a car fixed or whatever. And this seemingly friendly, innocuous dog just all of a sudden charged him and tried to bite him. And the owner came out and said, he's like that. You know, if he doesn't know you or doesn't like you, he'll do that. And, I mean, this is, you know, the fluffy dog, the kind of dog you saw in the movie Benji, that type of thing. And Stephen King made Cujo out of it. He basically has this dog that becomes rabid and terrorizes.
But the dog in the movie is one of those great big huge dogs.
Yes, you're right.
I can't remember the name of the breed, but they'll take up the entire bed of a truck. They're that big. I've seen them.
Exactly.
They're that big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
actually monsters. They're just monster dogs.
Yes, they are. And actually encountering one that was mean like that was the inspiration for Stephen King to come up with the book Cujo and then with the movie. And so I'm sure subconsciously a lot of what I'm creating is inspired by one thing or another. I can't always pinpoint it and point directly to a certain thing. I mean, Senator Quint's assassination may loosely be similar to JFK or to Robert Kennedy's assassination. You know, there's obviously some similarities because the high-powered rifle was used, this sort of thing. Obviously, serial killers have been all over the news for the past 30 or 40 years, and there have been a lot of them. You know, Ted Bundy being the one that most immediately springs to mind. Paper Doll, that is somewhat unique and very original on my part. I can't say any specific thing other than that childhood memory we talked about earlier really inspired her. But I think all of these things we draw upon our deep subconscious. I think creative people draw upon their subconscious without even being aware of it for so much of this stuff that we create. That would be my speculation based on my own experience. Hubert Slukowski is the minister at the Divine Humanity Cathedral. He is Imogene Slukowski's father. He is also, shall we say, somewhat of a creep, but he has this huge following. He's a televangelist who comes on and preaches.
Okay, tell us about the skateboarders.
Yes, there's quite a few of them. They skate in Dead Center Park. They are supporters of Flashy. They're very open-minded. They like Flashy the Paper Doll. They came to her rescue when all these people were hating on her and trying to cause her problems.
Who is Lead Stuffed Gowl?
Lead Stuffed Gowl is one of these pop star interviewers. He interviews all the big bands, you know, whatever kind of band they are, all different kinds of music, and he is a recurring character who occurs many different times.
Okay, what about the Wood Pulp Boy?
Wood Pulp Boy is the creation of Dr. Getrick, other than Flashy, but he is with Flashy. Wood Pulp Boy is the love interest, the romantic interest of Flashy.
Okay, we have another small character, Ronson Kilroy.
He's another reporter there at CRZY, and he also occurs quite frequently in different episodes.
Who's Anderson Quentin Jr.?
Anderson Quentin Jr. is the son of the slain Senator Quint, and Anderson Quentin Jr. is running against Senator Devane, attempting to run for senator.
All right, Les Tomac.
Les Tomac is both a news anchor there at CRZY, and he has his own talk show, in which he has lots of interesting guests. Lots of different people appear on the Les Tomac show.
Dr. Derrickson?
Dr. Derrickson started out as apron-head psychiatrist, but it turns out that all his life, Dr. Derrickson has secretly wanted to be a quantum nuclear physicist, and in fact, he developed time travel. And Dr. Derrickson is the one who developed a time travel energy flux field.
Okay, and Timmy Lawrenson, the skateboarder.
Timmy Lawrenson, the skateboarder, is a key figure. He does travel through time. He has a lot of adventures in different time periods. He's a key figure in many episodes surround him, and he's in many episodes.
Here's DJ Mona Perdansk.
Yes, DJ Mona Perdansk is a minor character. He is one of these minor talk show hosts on the radio, and also he spins discs. You know, he plays songs on the radio too, and he's a recurring minor figure.
Okay, here's another one. Juliana Student Stripper?
Yeah, Julietta Slide Stepper. She is on Trash Talk Radio and Opinion Radio, which is one of the radio shows that Uncle Frank likes to call in and say his piece. And Julietta is basically the host of that radio show.
Who is Flashy 2?
Flashy 2 is the duplicate Flashy created by Dr. Getrick to send her back through time to find the original Flashy and Woody and try to bring them back to our time so that he can give them information that they badly need about their metabolism, information that will aid them in their survival. But when she entered the time flux field, Flashy 2 was affected adversely by it. Lightning struck the energy field, and she turned evil because her processor that was placed inside her by Dr. Getrick was fried by the electricity, so her mission got garbled. She thinks she is the original Flashy, and instead of going to find Flashy, she's on a mission to seek out and destroy Flashy. So the Flashy 2 character is the evil, dark duplicate, the opposite of the original Flashy.
All right, cool. And I guess last but not least, the Man in the Hat.
No one knows who the Man in the Hat is, but Uncle Frank remembers seeing him 60 years ago in Dead Center Park, and the man looked exactly back then the way he looks now. He hasn't aged, he hasn't changed. He wears a dark hat, he wears dark clothing. He approached Timmy the skateboarder outside a casino and talked to him. He seems to be very interested in world affairs, human affairs, and in the affairs of Murgatroyd. He refers to himself in very mysterious, vague terms. We get a feeling that he either has powers or may be very powerful, but we don't know a lot about the Man in the Hat yet. We will. He's going to be...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the wildly talented Rich Vernadeau of Crazy Insane Radio, the series. All right, we're going to be interviewing him for just a short time to see what he has to say about his spinoff. So, I hear you have a spinoff series. How will it be different from Crazy Insane Radio?
Well, first of all, thank you for asking, and I'm glad that you enjoyed my original series, Crazy Insane Radio. This new series, which is called Murgatroyd After Dark, the Murgatroyd Chronicles, has a slower pace, greater focus, and greater attention to a different kind of detail in terms of more suspense. It's going to be more of creating a mood. And so basically I'm just kind of changing things up slightly in that regard. I'm going to do a slower, more in-depth approach, more of a character-driven approach on this one. You'll like it because it will be so different from the other one, which of course I hope you like and continue to like the other one as well. As far as it being character-driven, that's what one of the main things about the new series is going to be, and one of the main ways in which it's going to differ from the other one. The first one, Crazy Insane Radio, is plot-driven and surprise event-driven. On this one, it's going to be more slow development of people.
Sounds good, sounds good. All right, well, will many of our favorite and main characters from Crazy Insane Radio cross over at any point?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I will occasionally have crossovers of the main major characters from the original series briefly into this new series, but the episode will not necessarily center on them. Think of this as being done from the point of view of the average person who lives in Murgatroyd who happens to be outside and sees Flashy the paper doll walking down the sidewalk, or picks up their paper and reads about the serial killer, but then goes and fixes dinner, and life goes on for them.
I see, I see. Is there anything else you'd like to add about Crazy Insane, or the new one that you're doing?
Oh, yes. One of the things is I'm going to be attempting to introduce a whole different set of characters, as I was talking about. And these characters are not part of the main action in the other series, although they see and hear and might be impacted by some of it. This will be more along the lines of, say, Imogene's secretary at the TV station, Mayor Paransky's chauffeur, the janitor who cleaned Les Tomac's office, the waitress who hands Senator Devane his steak. This series is going to focus on not the movers and shakers of Murgatroyd as the other one does, but the average citizen. But the setting, Murgatroyd, is the same. Some of the storylines will slightly intersect and interconnect. It's a challenge I've created for myself. Yes, I'm very excited. It is trying to show how the average citizens react to the madness of Murgatroyd, whether it's corrupt senators and mayors, walking, talking paper dolls, serial killers, whatever. You see, even the original is a lot deeper than it appears on the surface. Many of the episodes are veiled social commentary on current events. So in a sense, these everyday characters in the new series represent you and I dealing with what's going on in today's world.
Well, that is indeed different, but I can tell you right now that I'm excited, and I'm sure all of the followers right now are incredibly excited. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I would just like to wrap up this interview by saying that, yes, it should be fun. It allows me to branch out new and different directions creatively. And I want to urge anyone who's already watching Crazy Insane Radio on my YouTube channel to go ahead and start watching this one. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Rich Vernadeau on YouTube. And you can look it up, Google it easily. Go inside YouTube and search for Crazy Insane Radio. Go inside YouTube and search for Murgatroyd After Dark, the Murgatroyd Chronicles.
Well, I love it already, and I know that all of your fans are going to love it, and I look forward to more and more and more of it. And, you know, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. You know, it was great to have you here, and I loved learning about the new series.
Well, I definitely appreciate being a guest, and thank you very much for interviewing me.